Hey, everybody, welcome to the Soccer Sharps, a soccer betting podcast. Jordan, it's time for us to look into our crystal ball, into the future, if you will, into the outright markets as we take a look mostly in England. We're looking at the EPL, some of the Championship, but we've got a couple little plays across the European leagues as well. So stick around, baby. Here we go.
Martial. Herrera. Ibrahimovic! Oh my God, an insane goal! I've just seen the most insane goal I have ever seen on a football pitch. Balotelli.
Aguero! Thank you for joining us, everyone. To our new listeners coming over from the World Cup, welcome. It's time to really dive into this season. We're going to be talking mostly EPL here, looking at these futures markets. We did have one episode before this about the UEFA Super Cup and the Community Shield. The Super Cup cashed 2 bets for us, each of our plays coming through, Jordan, which is really nice. How's it feel? It was exciting today. We had some meaningful soccer, at least soccer I was betting on. And now we're going to be looking at futures. So how is your outlook for this season?
Yeah, Dev, always nice to hit the ground running and win our first bets of the season. Hopefully it's an omen for things to come as we prosper throughout the season. That is the goal, of course. And my outlook for the season, it's a mixed bag, Dev. I got a lot of takes, and I think this show will serve as a way for us to preview the season, our thoughts about what may and may not happen, and attach some wagers to those takes.
Right on, Jordan. Yeah, before we dive in completely here, just want to say if you guys are in the chat, go ahead and jump in there, leave some comments. We'll see what you think about some of these plays. If you're new here, go ahead and give us a like, a follow, a subscribe. Really helps us out as we try to grow the show continually. This is what, our 6th year, Jordan? 5th? 6th?
I believe this is the 6th full season, yeah.
6th full season. So been around a while, but we only recently started doing video and started really pushing this thing out there. So click that subscribe, click that follow button. We appreciate it. So, Jordan, before we dive in to these futures, you and I each have a handful of bets here. I think you got 12 or so units. I've got about 7.5 units. How do you feel about a future bet, an outright, if you will? Because it's kind of strange to tie up money that may not come through until the end of the season, right? It's like, why not just invest it in crypto or in Roth IRA or something, you know?
Well, I guess for me, the answer to that is that stuff's not as fun. Like, we can watch these games play out. Like, if I have a future bet on a team to win a league, well, every one of their games I'm invested, right? I want them to win everything. But it's a long season. It's a long time to have your money tied up. And I guess people would just say the short answer is, rather than betting a team game to game, I can bet them throughout the season, right? And then I don't have to worry about which game they mess up in and drop some points where they weren't expected to. I have them in the long run to do well. We see it a lot with NFL, right? Wins totals, when it's like, oh, well, why don't you just bet 12 games where you think they'll win? It's like, well, because they might not win one of them, but they might still end up with 12 wins. It just depends on what type of bettor you are. We, of course, are going to do both. If I bet on Chelsea to do something outright, that doesn't mean I'm not betting Chelsea games this season, believe me. So, yeah, you just try to identify spots where you think there's value projected across the season, and then maybe hedge or double down on that position game to game throughout the season.
Yeah, and I think for me personally, I'm like, the price has to be about even or better. There is one I've got that's kind of short. Price wise, but it's like it needs to be about even or better for me to like lock up a unit for 9 months. It's a long season. So, but as you mentioned, it's a great way to make yourself into a fan. All of a sudden you're rooting for something, and I have no fandom, right? We've talked about this on the show. I don't have a team that I follow. I just like players. So it's kind of fun to bet on some of these teams in the future and say, hey, suddenly I'm a Manchester United fan. Little sprinkle of a preview for you there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you can have many clubs if you're cheering many outcomes.
Right on, George. So let's dive into our first one here. We're going to throw this up on the screen. We've got a league placement card here, and it's loaded with stuff. We're going to go through each of these. If you guys are listening on the podcast, do not worry. We're going to go through each of these. And if you're watching on YouTube, you get to see the price there. It's laid out all nice. So follow us on YouTube. Subscribe. Appreciate it. But, Jordan, we're going to do a little popcorn here. We're going to go back and forth. And I'm looking at your future plays here, and right away, standing out to me, over in La Liga, you've got Real Madrid to win La Liga at plus 130. You got a unit and a half on this one. And is it the Jose Mourinho factor? What's making you buy into Madrid this season?
Yeah, it's a few things. And just for those who are watching and not listening, the black writing are my plays and the gray writing are Deb's plays. But again, as Deb says, we're just going to read everything out so there won't be any confusion. Yeah, is it the Jose effect? Well, for starters, when you're betting a team to win La Liga, it's either going to be Real Madrid or Barcelona. Those are the two teams that can win the league. So if you're getting either one of them at plus money, it becomes an interesting bet, right? If Barcelona were getting plus 130, I may have put a unit and a half on them, but I made this bet a while back, and I just thought that it was a perfect storm. Madrid have been embarrassed for a couple seasons. They had arguably the two best players at the World Cup this past summer, or at least two of the five best at the World Cup in Bellingham and Mbappe. Incredible form these guys are in. Not that Mbappe was having trouble scoring goals for Madrid to begin with, but it just seemed like, the Death Star is getting back together here. They're fired up. They haven't won a title in a couple seasons. Everyone's calling Mbappe a flop. I could just see this being like revenge season. Then you bring in the most shithouse manager of all time to to helm the Death Star. And I know he hasn't won titles since, I think, 2015. But, look at the teams he was at. Like Spurs, Roma. Roma are kind of like the Spurs of Serie A. Not really easy to win titles with these teams. He went to Turkey, did the Fenerbahce thing. He got second there? Okay. I just feel like for Jose, he's almost like, to get peak Jose powers, you have to have Galacticos around him. The bigger the club, the better he will be. He can manage these players and I think get the best out of them. I also like some of the signings they've made. Mark Cucurella, as much as I can't stand the man, I think that's a nice little upgrade there at left back. Bernardo Silva, perfect Jose Mourinho shithouse player. Tons of experience winning things. I think he'll be a great addition. Here's the big one, Dev. If they get Rodri, I'm licking my lips at this price. If Barcelona get Rodri, I'm a little fearful. Can't lie. But it'll be interesting either way. I just feel like it's a tight enough race that getting plus 130 is a fun bet to have on a team as good as Real Madrid.
Yeah, it's the Rodri question, right?
Huge.
And I mean, I don't know. Have we seen Jose Mourinho be good in 7 years? He's sort of doing that like a tour of Europe, right? He was in Rome, and then he was in Istanbul, and then I think he was back to Benfica last season. So, interesting shout. I like how you said it's either them or Barcelona, and Hansi Flick seems to have them humming, but we will see. We will see. They're very thin at striker over there in Barcelona, and that's something that Madrid have plenty of, is goal-scoring talent. So, all right, Jordan, you're going to be a Real Madrid fan this season.
Yeah,
love to see it.
Jose, Real Madrid fan. What could go wrong? And Dev, you mentioned Benfica, Jose's last club. You like a bet on Benfica this season. You like them to win Liga Portugal. Liga Portugal bet click at plus 225. You've got a unit on that, Deb. Talk to me.
Well, I love the price. First off, this is Benfica team under Jose last season, came in third, actually. And yet they did not lose a single game in the season. Somehow came third. That's the Jose effect. That's that pragmatic approach, particularly in a league like Portugal. I love the talent on this team, and I mentioned they did not lose last season. The other shows in town are Porto, who are the big favorites to win the Portuguese Premier League, or Primera, and of course Sporting, who are always, in it as well. So it's really a 3-team sort of race. But with the departure of Jose Mourinho, we have the addition of formerly Fulham's Marco Silva, coming on a 2-year contract here, traveling back to Portugal. Look, I loved him as a coach for Fulham. That team was punching way above their weight under Marco Silva. Then you start to look at some of the pieces that they have, that they added this season. You got Clement Lenglet as defender. He's on loan from Atletico Madrid. Jakub Kaminski signed this season. Enzo Baranecchia, he's a defensive midfielder. Played at Villa a little bit. He's Argentinian. And another guy is sort of star-crossed. Can he figure his career out? Jean Duran from the Colombian international. He's bounced all around since he left Aston Villa. Can he come to this Benfica side? He's got a countryman there in Richard Rios. Maybe he can kind of get his head on straight a little better. And we know he can be electric when he is playing at the top of his game. But let's not forget the players they already have. With the Greek striker, Vangelis Pavlidis. For me, one of the best Greek attackers out there. Another guy went to Arsenal, Solis, another Greek attacker. He's pretty hyped up for Arsenal this season. But look, I just really like the pieces there. I really like the coach. And I think they have a track record and a club that is routinely winning this league. I think they can come back and do it again. And at a plus 225, I'm happy to tie up a unit here for the season on this team and become a Benfica fan, Jord.
Fair enough, Dev. Yeah, look, I don't hate that at all. It's a great price. And as you say, it's typically a 3-horse race. A team that went unbeaten last season. I didn't realize that. I guess Jose had too many draws that needed to turn a few more into wins. But yeah, I don't mind that bet at all, Dev. Not at all.
Right on, Jordan. Let's take a look at your next play here, and it's Chelsea to finish in the top 4 at even money. You got 2 units on this one, Jordan. So you're buying in. We got a lot of new managers. That's sort of the theme of the season as we move on to the EPL here. And I'll just say that all of our plays now are either the EPL or the Championship. So English plays. We got the Madrid and Benfica out of the way. But Jordan, look, talk to me about Chelsea finishing top 4 at even money here. 2 units, so you've got some confidence on this one.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I do.
Dude.
Yeah, dude. I do, Dev. Yeah, look, we're English-centric in this pod, right? We try to branch out across Europe, but our bread and butter is over in England. And yeah, I'm bullish on Chelsea. And you said it. There's a lot of turnover in the coaching carousel in certainly the upper half of the Prem, mainly the top 6, we'll say. A lot of turnover, a lot of question marks around the management. And that's one of the reasons I kind of like Chelsea here. I know they've disappointed, certainly last season. But I think Xabi Alonso is a really good manager. And, I don't think it's a blemish on his record at all that he left Real Madrid. They were fine when he left. And I think that was a premature decision, a bad decision. The guy was brilliant at Bayer Leverkusen, and he had a lot of young talent there, just had a couple of key experienced players to go along with a bunch of young talent that he coached up and put his own imprint on. I think he can do the same here at Chelsea because it's primarily a bunch of young dudes there that are in need of direction and an arm around the shoulder to get the best out of them. And I like the signings they've made. I know there's a lot of jokes about them signing a bunch of old men and Jordan Henderson and Danny Welbeck, but I get it. Like, I see that as kind of like his Granit Xhaka signings, like for Leverkusen. Need a couple of those locker room guys because that's what Chelsea have really been lacking. There's been too much youth, not enough experience. And the biggest thing about it all, Dev, they don't have Europe. They don't have those extra commitments. They can just focus on the league here. We saw what a benefit that was for Manchester United last season. And I don't think it can be overstated. Just what a breath of fresh air that is when you don't have to worry about playing Thursday, Sunday, or whatever. If you're in the Champions League, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, you know, just having one game a week for the most part. They might make some cup runs domestically. We'll see. But at even money, just to get into the top four, I think that's a bet. And I'm happy to play it because they will drop points, right? There's going to be games that they lose that they shouldn't, or draw that they should win. But I don't want to pick those games. I don't know which ones they're going to be. I just know there are going to be some. So getting them to just finish top four on the balance of the season, I think, is a bet at even money. 2 units for me there, Jeff.
Right on, Jordan. Love the confidence on it. Bob DeVita in the chat. He says they need the old men to mature the young bucks. Well, I think that's accurate, right? And you said it. It's like this team, I think, had more than double red cards than the next highest red carded team in the league last season.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
It's insane. So that just shows a lack of maturity in there. So it makes sense. I love Xabi Alonso as a coach. I couldn't believe Chelsea got him. I don't really care for Chelsea. Don't care for most of the teams out there. But yeah, that is such a good get for them. He's a really, really good manager. You mentioned his time in Real Madrid, and they cut him loose way too soon. The team was top of the league, of La Liga, I think, when he got let go. Or they had just lost to Barcelona, but it was really close.
Yeah,
and
they were definitely top 2.
Yeah, definitely top 2. And then, basically fell apart once he was gone. The team didn't do much tactically. They looked lost. I mean, the best thing Arbeloa did as manager over there was beat Manchester City in the Champions League. And that was pretty much just Fede Valverde scoring a hat-trick in the first half. When you talk about Chelsea, this is a good time to maybe like zoom out and we can just like look at Premier League as a whole, because when you look at the big 6, I think the only teams that have like a tenured manager now is Arsenal, Manchester City with Enzo Maresca. Manchester United had Carrick toward the end of last season, half a season or so. De Zerbi came in at the very end for Tottenham. Who am I missing in the big 6 here? Chelsea, of course, new
Liverpool
manager.
Got Areola.
Liverpool with Areola. Aston Villa have some continuity, but they've had a lot of departures in the player side. So it seems like this is going to be a wide open year, Jordan. This feels like the Leicester year when they won it. Like there's just like a lot of teams having this turnover and weirdness, except for Arsenal. They're probably going to win it. They are favorites to win it, which I guess will bring us to our next bet here.
Yeah, actually, I might as well throw this in since it dovetails with my Chelsea to finish top 4 bet. I have just below that Chelsea to finish above Man United at plus 120 for another unit on that. And it's what I already discussed. I don't need to go into it again. I talked about Man U benefiting so much from only playing domestically last season and exiting the cups early. We saw how good it was for them to just have one game a week to worry about. Now they're back in the Champions League. They're going to have to adapt to that. Michael Carrick's going to have to adapt to that. He's never been there before. And Chelsea get to benefit from the fact that now they're the Man U team of last season that don't have to do it. So I like just kind of flipping that narrative and being like, well, Chelsea's going to benefit now and you're going to struggle a little more. So yeah, another unit on Chelsea to finish above Man U at plus 120. And Dev, I'll let you talk about your top 6. You mentioned Arsenal being favorites to win the league again. You're not so sure they're hoisting the trophy in May, but you certainly like them first half of the season here. You've got Arsenal to be top at Christmas time, plus 250, 1 unit there.
I thought this was mispriced. I couldn't believe it. This is the team with the most consistency They won the league last season. They were top at Christmas last season. They're plus 250 to be top at Christmas. To win the league, I think they're like plus 130-ish if you shop around. Like, so I'm almost getting double that to get them to be top at Christmas, when I think they're going to be the team that has the easiest path at the very start of the season. So I was confused by this. Am I missing something here?
Is that true? Do they have the easiest path at the beginning of the season? Did you look at fixtures?
Well, by Christmas, typically everyone's played each other once.
Oh,
So
okay, right.
they should be fine. I mean, I don't know exactly the like opening 10 matches or whatever. And of course, they'll have Champions League and stuff to deal with as well. But I like the changes they've made. Bruno Guimaraes is a brilliant signing. That's exactly the kind of player you want to bring in, who's a player at the peak of his power, in his prime. He's age appropriate for a squad that's wanting to win trophies right now. This guy I mentioned before, Solis, he's the Greek winger. Going to play on the left side, sort of the Trossard replacement. He's supposed to be great. I haven't seen a ton of him, but if he can pull his weight, and then Guimaraes, and they got maybe one more signing in them. I'm pretty bullish on the Christmas thing here, because I do think teams like Liverpool, possibly even Chelsea, are going to take a little bit of time to settle in, and Manchester City. All those teams with new managers, right? They're going to maybe take a little bit of time to adjust, particularly Liverpool, because we've seen that before with Iraola. So I love Arsenal. Top of Christmas, plus 250 for a unit, Jordan.
Yeah, it's interesting, Dev, because as you were talking, I was thinking about it. I'm like, okay, why would the price be almost double when it's a shorter duration? They only have to play every team once. And I was thinking to myself, well, I guess there's the argument that they don't pull away in the first half of the season, but we've seen Arsenal benefit, I think, the last couple of seasons from winter training and warm weather, and then they come back and go on these runs. Maybe that's something to do with it. But just for shits and giggles, I asked AI, and this is funny because you were talking about the misprice. It says, actually, the premise of your question is generally the opposite of how betting markets work for a specific team before the season starts or during the early months. A team usually has shorter odds to be top at Christmas than to win the league. This is because Christmas comes first chronologically and requires a shorter duration of success. However, if you're seeing a specific scenario where a team's odds to be top at Christmas are bigger than their odds to win the league, it usually happens for one of these mathematical or structural reasons. The already top effect. If a dominant team like a City or Arsenal are already sitting comfortably in first place in November, December, their odds to be top at Christmas crash into heavy favoritism. Then you got fixture congestion and scheduling. Top at Christmas market based strictly on the exact fixture list leading up to December 25th. If the current leader has a brutal run of away games, maybe this is too dense for this podcast, but
well, we do appreciate bringing in the robots, Jordan.
It's interesting though, because it seems too big. Is
definitely
like that first thing that AI said, like, it's usually the opposite.
I would have played it at 2-1, and I'm getting plus 250. I think if you're going to make the argument for Arsenal not to do well, it's Saliba could be out for a really long time. He's been so key to their defense for a long time. And maybe they lose some of the... Maybe teams figure out the set piece thing. They're going to legislate that out, possibly, right? They scored so much from set pieces and, like, kicking the shit out of people in the box on corners. Maybe that gets legislated away, or teams catch up and they figure a way to counter it.
They're certainly going to have to evolve the way they play, need to be more attacking. And I think Arteta's talked about doing that. But regardless of how they play, it should be a shorter price on them halfway through the season than at the end. So good on you.
Well, Jordan, thank you. Let's stick in North London because your next plays are going to be in the championship. So let's stick in North London because I got a play here, Jordan. I got Spurs to finish in the top 6.
Whoa.
Minus 105 for a unit.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one that I know you don't like. So let's hear why you hate this first.
I don't know that I hate it or even don't like it. It's just ballsy to me. They're coming off back-to-back 17th place finishes. So you need them to jump 11 places in a season. And look, there are different reasons for each of those seasons, different managers, different players. But that's a huge leap. Now, they will benefit, of course, from not having to play in Europe as well. Of course, they didn't really last season benefit from that. Yeah, they're making some good signings. I'll give you that.
Wait, they played in Champions League last year.
Oh, because they won Europa League. Right. Okay, well that's good. So maybe that helps them a little bit. And they don't have that this season. But I do like the signings. They've made some good signings, and I guess a lot of it comes down to fitness for them. Like, are they going to continue to be the team that has constant key injuries like forever and tons of guys out? I don't know. Is that just a bad luck thing, or is there something to it? Again, I don't hate the play. It's not something I would make, mainly just based off of how they've been in recent seasons.
Yeah, I think a couple points here. If you break your transfer record twice in a row in the same summer, you better finish in Champions League spots that year. It's a disaster if you don't. Yes, they finished 17th the past 2 years. Not great. There's only one way to go. They can only go up from there. You mentioned the signings. I think, Tonali and Fernandez are just fantastic signings to bring in by all accounts. And it is like, can this team just stay healthy? Dominic Solanke came in as a striker. He had like a perfect record of health when he was at Bournemouth. The guy was like never injured. As soon as he gets to Spurs, just catastrophic injury. It seems like now they have almost too many midfielders. I mentioned Tonali, Fernandez, but you've still got Bentancur, you've still got Palhinha, you've still got Bergval, Papsar. There's just an endless number. But maybe that's good, right? It's the most important position on the field. So, in my mind, in my opinion, so I think that will go up a lot, and I think De Zerbi's a serious manager. I don't think the past two guys they hired I don't love. I mean, Thomas Frank started well, and won him a trophy, which was big. And then I think De Zerbi can at least get him top 6 here because, again, I think some of the other big boys, some of the other classic teams are maybe going to have some trouble this year. So, 6th for about even money, I'll take it.
Right on, Dev. Well, we might as well stay in the Prem before we drop down to the Championship. So talk to me about some of these teams at the bottom end of the table here. You've got newcomers Hull City to go right back down and finish bottom at even money. And you've got Fulham, old boys Fulham, to be relegated at plus 550, just a half unit on that one. Talk to me about these bottom feeders.
Well, yeah, I'll start with Hull City. So by a lot of metrics, and I don't watch the Championship, I'm the first to say that, Hull City, by a lot of people's metrics, is one of the worst teams that's been promoted in like the past 20 years. Got pretty lucky to come through the playoffs. They benefited from Southampton with their weird spying thing. And so they got in, and then, you win a couple playoff games, and suddenly you're in the Prem. So I think they're going to struggle mightily. The underlying numbers from the Championship last season suggest that they overperformed greatly, both their XG and XGA. They are big favorites to go down, and then to get any kind of value, I had to take them to finish bottom here at even money. Coventry, I'm talking about the other 3 promoted teams here. So Hull City, Coventry City, they got Super Frankie Lampard in charge, Jord. So maybe he can do something. And we trust him. And then Ipswich, they learned a lesson, I think, from the last time they yo-yoed up and down. And they've spent as much as, I think, Manchester United, only less than Tottenham and Chelsea, I believe. this summer. So they're bringing in players, which they did not do as much last time. So Hull City, maybe the worst of those three. And now I'll touch on Fulham to be relegated. This would break my heart. I really like Fulham. Anthony Robinson plays there. They play like right on the River Thames in the Craven Cottage. A lot to like about Fulham, but I think they are going to be in some trouble. I do not like Alvaro Arbeloa. Tough to say.
It kind of is, yeah.
As a manager, I think he didn't do great with Madrid. Maybe that's an impossible job. But this is a different kind of league to now be with a team that is going to have to be dogs in almost all their games. Yeah, I don't love it. They lose Raul Jimenez, who was a big goal scorer for them last season. I think it could be rough for them. I only have a half unit on them to go down because those three promoted teams I mentioned, they all could be terrible as well. Let's not forget Sunderland is playing in Europe now. That could be a disaster for them, for a thin squad. So there's a lot of teams that could go down. But I think Fulham, playing them this way at plus 550, half a unit, I'm not rooting for them to go down, but if it happened, I'll take the cash for sure.
Yeah, Dev, I don't disagree with you. I think Fulham are going to have some struggles this season. I attacked it a little differently. We'll get to that on our next card, but this dovetails a little bit nicely with my last couple here for this card. As you talk about the teams that might be struggling, going down, and may have their eyes on the championship come to the end of the season, I'm looking at some stuff in the championship. And Dev, first up, I got to be a homer. West Ham United, my club. I'm wearing the shirt. Yeah, not often I get to see them as favorites to win something. Favorites, Dev, to win the championship. I got to have a bet on it, right? I mean, again, how often do I get to see this? West Ham to win a league. I can bet on that at plus 190, 1 unit. That's just there's no more thought beyond it than that. They should win the league. They're capable of winning the league. They have a championship proven manager who has won the championship before in Nuno. So he's gotten teams back up to the Prem. They kept players like Jared Bowman and Tati Castellanos, Mavropanos, really kept the core together, made some good sales too, though, got a lot of money for Somerville and for Fernandez. So can still strengthen the squad. I like what they're doing. They're going to be there or thereabouts, so why not have a bet on it? The other one, and this might be my favorite bet of the card here, Dev, Southampton to finish in the top 8. As we know, the championship has expanded its playoff format to 8 teams now, or teams 3 through 8 instead of just 3 through 6 go into the playoffs now. So that's why the top 8 market exists. And I had to have a bet on it, Dev. I know that they're disgraced. There was a lot of controversy around last season with the Spygate thing. So they do have a points deduction. They start the season at -4. But look, you look at the quality of this team, the squad, as long as they keep together most of those guys, they should probably, I looked at top 6, maybe even higher. I think they have every chance to be competing at the top of this league. So top 8 felt like a no-brainer. It's a little juicy, -138, but that's why I got 2 units on it, baby. I feel strongly about it. I can see them challenging.
Right on, Jordan. Look, I can't argue with you again. I've already said I don't really watch the championship. We're rooting for your West Ham, though. Let's get them back in the Prem where they belong. Southampton, I mean, yeah, the -4 point start is not ideal, but not over, not the worst thing ever, too. So will the Saints go marching in to 8th?
Yes, can they do it? We've got Jack in the chat letting us know that Paulinho has actually left Spurs. Paulinho gone.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to put up these bets right now. That's what we're doing for this show. But we should say, like, the transfer window is not done. And there could be, like, some more bombas, as De Zerbi said. Bombas coming through here.
That's right. And we will get into that in some of my later plays. So maybe we shall take a look at our next card. We're doing EPL points totals.
That's right, Jordan. Let's move on here. The points totals, over-unders on points. Kind of a weird market to have to find. I think I had to dip into possibly DraftKings or FanDuel. I know we aren't supposed to say the books out loud, but I've done it.
It's cool. We're not monetized yet.
Yeah.
So please like and subscribe.
And yes. And look, when we look at this card right here, Jordan, what stands out to me right away? You and I are oppo about the Red Devils. Yeah, Manchester United. You're going under 68.5 points on the season. I'm going over 69.5. Boy, what could middle us? 69. Exactly 69 points. We both lose. So if you guys are watching this, if you can bet exactly Manchester United 69 points, then it is written. Jordan, talk to me, because this team I've been pretty impressed with. I know, well, there's a lot both ways, but I've been impressed with them. I like the signings. What's holding you back so far?
Well, I pretty much already talked about it. I think they benefited massively from not being in Europe last season. They finished in the Premier League last season with 71 points. So the market's saying they'll do the same again, or they won't. Which way do you go? Just about. I think they should be at least a few points worse off this season, having to contend with the Champions League. Again, Carrick never managed in the Champions League. I don't think Carrick's a bad manager. I think he kind of came in and just had some good vibes, positive vibes, didn't change a whole lot, wasn't like hugely tactical. Kind of just a breath of fresh air after like the darkness hanging over the club with the De Zerbi era. Or not De Zerbi, sorry, the Amorim era. And yeah, can he continue that? Is he actually a good manager? And maybe he is. And I'll be totally wrong about that. But it doesn't change the fact that he now has more games to play, more rotation to manage, more squad to balance. You like the signings. I'm not wowed by any of them, really. No one really moving the needle for me there. I just think they could easily fall a few points off of where they were last season. And I thought it was worth a bet, plus 110.
Yeah, I mean, I think they addressed a big need, which is that central midfield area, bringing in Yuri Tielemans and Andre Santos. Tielemans is just criminally underrated to me. I mean, I think he's such a great player. Just a solid player that you want to have. And Carrick, famously midfielder. So I think he knows what he's looking for there. And I still like the attacking options. I was very impressed by them last season in the only 40 games that they played, which is a crazy low number because they could double that easily this season if they just advance a little bit further in some of these competitions, and they'll be in the Champions League.
Maybe that'll be their strategy, is to exit those domestic trophies early. I will say, and then I'll pass it right back to you again. I will say, if they keep Marcus Rashford and he doesn't go somewhere else, I think that's a big coup.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he will. Again, there's still time in the transfer window, but nobody wants to pay his salary, wages, and at least Carrick is a United guy, so he can be like, Marcus, you've come home, mate. This is where you belong. Yeah, you're one of us. You're a Red Devil. Because I really do like I like Šeško to have a big year. I think he's getting a year down, under his belt in the Prem last season. Started to show some flashes at the end of the year. Have you seen the pictures of him this year? Huge, jacked, looking like Schwarzenegger out there. Yeah, thick. He's not going to be getting bullied as much. So between him, we love him, Buemo, Cunha, and of course assist leader Fernandez. You worry about the defense maybe, with the starting center backs being Harry Maguire likely and Lisandro Martinez. Matthias de Ligt is just gone. He's been gone for a while. And look, they scored they got to 71 points last season. So can they basically equal that you get 22-ish wins, you're basically there. So I think they can hit it, George. I'm a little nervous that you're so down on them, but again, with all the turnover in this league, I think it could be a crazy season.
It certainly could be, Dev. There should be a lot of twists and turns and a lot of unknowns, especially with all the new managers. One team that don't have a new manager, Brentford, rolling on with Keith Andrews, who shocked everyone last season, as everyone had Brentford to be struggling. If they didn't have Brentford being relegated, they certainly had Brentford being in the relegation conversation. Well, they weren't. They were challenging for Europe for most of the season, and Keith Andrews shocked everyone. Can he do it again? I'm here to tell you, not so fast.
Whoa.
I think that's another case of catching some lightning in a bottle. Teams unprepared for them to be good. And I don't think they come very close to where they were last season. I don't think that they really have the talent and squad depth to continue to shock the league. And I expect them to be one of the teams that underperform their points total last season. So under 47.5 points, plus 120. I do think they'll be safe from relegation. I don't expect them to be relegated or anything, but just one of the teams I highlighted to have a worse season than they did last season. It would still be a decent season for them to finish like 12th or 13th or something. It's Brentford we're talking about here. So, they did really well last season. I think that was more of an outlier. Don't see it being replicated. What do you think about it?
I don't really have an opinion on it. I hear you. I think the scary part is Igor Thiago, right? He was incredible last season, and he goes to the World Cup. Didn't look so great there, did he? I don't know if he can replicate that. We'll see. I mean, I'll probably mention him when we get to the goal scorers on our next slide. But Brentford, it's bold to go under because it is going to be a weird season, but they have at least some continuity and have been doing it now for a few seasons. So not for me. I'm staying away from them, but I wish you luck on it. But Jordan, you got another under here, and this one correlates with what I had on our last slide, which was Fulham to be relegated. I went for the big price there. You've just got the under on the points total here, under 45.5. I don't know if we want to rehash everything we already talked about, but what made you take this bet?
Yeah, no need to rehash it. I already basically said I agree with you totally that I expect them to struggle. I don't like the outgoings. I don't think they're strengthening very well. The coach is a huge unknown, and yeah, I think they were even starting to show signs of being a bit shit under Silva towards the end there too. So I'm just fading Arbeloa being able to rescue them in any meaningful way. So my fear with not taking them to be relegated, because I do think they'll be in that conversation for a portion of the season at least. My fear with that is what you kind of addressed at the top of the show, that there might just be three worse teams than Fulham. So to take the points total under rather than them being relegated felt a safer way to attack it, and that's addressed in the price. You got the nice plus 550, I think it was, and I got minus 110. But a unit on that, you might ask yourself, well, Jordan, if all these teams are going to go under on their points totals, someone's got to go over. Someone's got to be making up these points. Yes, Steph, I do have one over points total, and it's from my gaffer's team, Moise. Everton to go over 51.5 points, plus 125. I hemmed and hawed and hand-wringed, went back and forth on should I take Everton's points total over or Everton for a top half finish. Just about the same price on both, but I decided if I've got these other teams dropping points everywhere, someone's going to benefit from them. I think Everton are one of the teams that can benefit from them. And the reason I didn't go with the top half finish is because maybe they do hit this points total, but there are other teams in the mid spaces, right? Like maybe your Brentfords, Brightons, teams like that, Crystal Palace, maybe they go on a run. These teams actually finish above Everton, and Everton finish like 12th or something, but they have 52 points. That would be annoying. So I went with this one. And yeah, you could go the opposite way too, right? Everton get 49 points, but it's good enough for 10th. But this is where I ended up going. And the reason I'm a little more bullish on Everton this season is because they've now had a full season playing at their new stadium. Their big downfall last season, it wasn't a terrible season, but they had a lot of home draws, home defeats. They were still adjusting, I think, to that new stadium. And if they can turn a few more of those home games into wins, that should be more than enough to get to 52 points here. And I think they will. They had, I think, 8 straight home defeats as they were starting off in the Hill Dickinson. And I think that's pretty clear that there's an adjustment period going on. So having that whole season they played at the stadium, being more comfortable. And I like some of the signings that they're making. They've now got Tyreek George locked down. Their striker, Tierno Barry, has had more experience playing in the league. I think he might have a decent season. Beto, of course, was good. Grealish, question marks there. He's back at City, but there's talk Everton want to do a deal and re-sign him. They just did a weird player swap, which you don't see very much anymore.
Trade. It's like the NBA or something.
Yeah, kind of fun. Got rid of Dwight McNeil, who Moyes had no real interest in using for whatever reason, and brought in Brennan Johnson. So kind of a 6 of one, half dozen of the other trade, but interesting. There must be something Moyes sees there. I do know that Moyes and Everton are looking at getting Wan-Bissaka out of West Ham United. I imagine that will go through if on the player side they can get the deal done. So yeah, I think a lot to like there. And thought it was worth a bet. I think they'll do a little bit better than they did last season by just turning a few of those home defeats into even draws or wins. I really just need them to get one more win than they had last season. And when you put it like that, it's not so bad.
Yeah, 49 points finished in 13th for Everton last season. Yeah, absolutely could be. Again, Everton could finish in Champions League spots. I mean, that's how crazy I think this season could be, George, because I think we could see some of these top teams really struggle. How good is Enzo Maresca? I don't know. He's got the best squad, but like, can he get a tune out of him? Could Erling Haaland become unhappy or something and want to leave?
He won the Club World Cup, Dev. How dare you?
Well, yeah, I guess he did. Somebody had to. But look, I bring up Haaland because next we're coming to goal scoring. George, we're going to look at goal scorers. We've each got some bets here. I'm basically focusing on 2 players, and I'm taking them in a number of different ways. And yours are all in the championship. While we're in the EPL, let's just touch on this. Erling Haaland's a massive favorite to win Golden Boot this season. I think he's like minus 120 or something, which is probably fair. I mean, he's a worthy favorite. It just seems like a crazy number to me. But I mean, we've seen the guy's a machine. Scores tons of goals. Will they adapt to the way Maresca plays? I don't really remember a Chelsea striker bagging a bunch of goals when Maresca was their manager. Same thing with Leicester City when he was there. So could we see a dip? I don't know. But I think there's value in taking almost anyone else because the odds are crazy. 2 years ago, we thought Alexander Isak was 1B to Haaland's 1A. He has a terrible knee injury, the weird transfer saga from Newcastle. Now he's at Liverpool. Hopefully he's healthy. And you can get him to be the top goal scorer here at plus 1,100. I think it's worth a sprinkle. I'm putting a quarter unit on it because I think Isak, when I've seen him be fit and firing, he's maybe not Erling Haaland's quite level, but he's up there. He's right up there. He's in a competitive situation with him. So I'm taking a little sprinkle on that. I'm putting a full unit on him to have 16 or more EPL goals this season. That's minus 115. I think a big part of Areola's success is going to depend on Isak and Florian Wirtz learning to play together in an effective way. The talent, can he get the most out of the talent at his disposal? And we don't know because he's never coached a big club before. And I think that's a big question mark for Liverpool. I would be nervous after looking at a Thomas Frank, who's punched over his weight at Brentford, then goes to Spurs, and it seems like the lights were too bright. They're going to be real bright over at Liverpool. If he loses the first 2 games, it's going to be this uproar of should they have sacked Slot, and it's going to be this huge media story. It's going to be terrible. We're going to hope that doesn't happen, and Isak is awesome and scores a shitload of goals. So 16 or more EPL goals, minus 115, and a little sprinkle, little quarter unit sprinkle here on him to be top scorer at plus 1100.
Yeah, Dev, I don't mind that at all if he can stay healthy. I'd like a little bit bigger of a price on the 16 plus, but yeah, if he stays healthy and they're firing in goals, then he's going to be the main one doing it. So I do get that. Famously, Iraola's teams start slow when he's new to a club. Like when he first took over Bournemouth, they really struggled for a while, and everyone was like, "Oh, we thought they were going to be good," and then they really went on a tear later on in the season. But you would think with the quality of players at his disposal, maybe that betting in period doesn't take quite as long. But I wish you luck there with the EPL goals from Isak.
Yeah. Well, I'll move to the next player here that I'm highlighting, and it's a similar kind of thought, but this one, different situation. It's Joao Pedro for Chelsea, playing under Xabi Alonso now. I think there's an adult in the room, and it's Xabi Alonso. Not to mention the adults they brought in. Welbeck comes in, and maybe you think he takes some of Pedro's time. But from what we've seen in preseason, which doesn't mean anything, and what we've heard coming out of Chelsea, what I've heard is that Pedro is incredibly upset that he was not selected for Brazil for the World Cup, and he's on a psychotic mission now to prove his worth. And I don't think there's really another show in town for Chelsea. Yes, Danny Welbeck comes in. Maybe he does some, but I think he's more as like a personality hire, right? Yeah. Like you bring him in to be an adult, tell the kids to behave. He'll obviously spell Pedro, but you start with Pedro, and I think he's gonna have a massive year. I think having that chip on his shoulder of not making the Brazil squad, which was shocking to me at the time, leads me to a ladder play here, Jordan. Pedro to score 16 or more EPL goals, minus 138. That's going to be my shortest odds on the show here, a unit. And I'm going to ladder this thing. The next highest one I saw here is Pedro to score 21 or more Premier League goals at a whopping 5-1, plus 500, half a unit there. Because again, we've seen 20 goal scorers, multiple 20 goal scorers in the EPL in the past couple seasons. And the thing that scares me a little bit is Pedro's probably not going to be on penalties. It's probably still going to be Cole Palmer, I would imagine. So that is a little tick against him. I think Isak will probably be on penalties if he's in the game for Liverpool, so that helps his goal tally. But look, top scorer, plus 1,800. I'm going to take a little sprinkle. I'm going to do the quarter unit. This is like a donation to the book. It's like I'm just throwing away money probably because it's going to be Erling Haaland. But could it be somebody else? Could it be Joao Pedro? Why not? At 18-1, I like taking a sprinkle there because again, I'm expecting him to get at least 22 goals. You probably need like 30 to catch Haaland, but yeah, I think with the revenge tour on his mind, only show in town, Xabi Alonso seems to love him. He's leading preseason in scoring. Give me Pedro everywhere. I got the ladder play here, Jordan.
Yeah, look, I mean, if he scores 21 goals, you're well on your way. So certainly doable. If you cash that one, you're definitely in the mix for top scorer there. And look, I'm not going to push back. You know, I'm high on Chelsea this season as well. I think Welbeck and Pedro can play together, actually, because at Bayer Leverkusen, sometimes Alonso would move to a two-striker situation when they were trying to knock on the door and get a goal. He would play Boniface and move Adley next to him as like a strike partnership. Could see that with Welbeck and Pedro in certain situations. So maybe he's not spelling him; he's supporting him because Liam Delap ain't it. That was a weird signing. Yeah,
he just hasn't adapted
his switch. Yeah, it doesn't. He needs to be like in one of those lower tier teams because of the way they play. playing in a top 6 side just doesn't work with his skill set quite as much. But anyway, this isn't about him. We both agree he won't really be taking much away from João Pedro there.
But I do want to bring up the last thing, because second favorite behind Holland is, God, not Ivan Toney.
Igor Thiago.
Thank you. Same initials. Igor Thiago, who was second in goal scoring last season and really pushed Holland for that top goal scorer golden boot there last season. And look, he's probably going to get like 7 or 8 penalties because he's only the penalty taker for that team, Brentford. He's the second favorite. Then you get to Isak and then Pedro, I think, after that. So I'm just skipping him because he's old and he didn't look good at the World Cup. And you mentioned you're down on Brentford this season, and I don't see him doing it again. So I think that's fool's gold there, George. Just wanted to say that before we move on to your goal scorer plays, which are from the championship. And first, Tati Castellanos. It's another West Ham player. Talk to me.
Yeah, well, this is wild to me, and there may be a little bit of negativity that surrounds this. First of all, you've got in the championship the top 5 goal scorers here, or the top 4. You have 2 West Ham players in there. The favorite to be top scorer is Jared Bowen. Second favorite, Raul Jimenez. Bowen's at 5-1. Jimenez 7-1. Jimenez back at Wolves. And then you've got Tati. You've got Lancashire for Middlesbrough at 10-1. And then Castellanos, now widely available at 10-1. I got in early at 12-1. Look, it's wild to me that Jared Bowen is the top of that list. The guy is probably the best player in the championship now from staying. It's probably true, and he is on penalties. I'll give him that. But Tati Castellanos came in to West Ham in the January transfer window. He outscored Bowen in the 6 months that he was there, or the half of the season that he was there, significantly. And he wasn't on penalties there either. I just think it's both these guys in the same team. One of them's you're getting plus 500 on Bowen, who's a winger. He does score a fair few amount of goals, but Castellanos is the fox in the box. The guy's scoring for fun. In their recent game over the weekend in the EFL Cup, they scored 3 goals. Bowen got 1 of them. Castellanos got 2. I think it'll be like that throughout most of the season. You're getting double the price on Castellanos. I think that's an automatic bet. I think he could easily be top scorer, not only of West Ham, but of the league. So here's where it gets a little hairy. My fear is that he's too good for the championship. No one's come in for him yet, but I wonder if there are some Prem teams that are like looking at their first or second options for bringing in some attacking talent. And as the window gets late, they go, all right, well, we missed out on our first target. Let's go get Tati. Right. And they come in late, maybe even after the championship has started, because it starts this weekend. If he plays in a game and then goes to another team in the Prem, my bet is still live. So that would suck.
Oh,
yeah, that would be a real shame. But so I'm really hoping he stays at the club and some Prem team doesn't swoop in the last few days of the window, because that would be tragic. Now, I bet it in a couple different ways. We've got on the screen here Castellanos top scorer at plus 1,200, quarter of a unit each way. If you're not familiar with the each way bet, you're putting a quarter unit on him to be top scorer outright at plus 1,200, and you're also betting a quarter unit on him to finish in the top 4 of goal scorers. So it's a little hedge, little security there. So it says a quarter unit, but it's actually a half a unit because it's a quarter each way. Then I also bet.
Okay, go ahead.
And then I also bet a quarter unit on him outright again at plus 1,000. And I mentioned.
So why is it a worse price for him outright? Shouldn't it be better?
No, the only reason I've got it twice on here and once it's at a worse price is because I bet it again later because I still liked it at plus 1,000.
I see.
I did the each way bet when it was 1,200 and then did another quarter unit just outright on 10-1. Little confusing. Sorry about that. And then Lancashire, who I mentioned before, former Spurs player playing at Middlesbrough now, knows the championship. He is third favorite in the market. I think Middlesbrough score a lot of goals, and he should be the beneficiary of it. I did a half unit each way. So if I certainly think he comes in top 4, so I should be cashing a half unit there. Can he be top scorer? I certainly hope not. Want it to be Castellanos, but yeah, a little sprinkle on Lancashire as well.
Yeah, top 4 for Lancashire and top for Castellanos gets you some nice wins there, Jordan. But look, that's going to do it. That's all the plays we've got for you guys. We've gone almost an hour here. We appreciate you sticking with us. Go ahead and throw us that like, follow, subscribe wherever you are watching or listening. We appreciate it. And join our Discord server. Tons of stuff going on in there. You can find the link in the show notes for wherever you're watching or listening. That's going to do it, Jordan. We'll be back next week. We're going to do something a little different. We might start doing a non-betting show, just have a little banter, a little commentary on what we saw from the weekend before. And of course, we'll be doing the betting previews. That's what we do here, but we want to expand our horizons a little bit and get some takes out there, which we may be doing more of. But Jordan, any last words for the people?
Yeah, it'll be nice to recap some games and go over the action of the weekend and maybe see how some of our bets fared or just drama taking place in the league, just to run our mouths a little more frequently than normal. No one can hear enough of us, right?
Yeah. we see. We're going to test it. We're going to find out.
That's right. But no, I just echo what you said. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And please remember to bet responsibly. Whether you're betting futures or just game to game or both, bet responsibly, manage those bankrolls. It ain't that serious if you don't let it be. So be careful there. And God willing, let's make some money.
Let's make some money.
Martial.